Extreme heat and also record-breaking high temperatures are possible across the desert southwest, heavy rainfall with flooding rains across Texas and the deep south, and your full tropical weather update in this video. Welcome back to another Weather on the Go weather forecast here this Friday morning. Everybody, if you guys have not subscribed down below or liked this video, definitely consider doing both. We have great weather content coming up here today, as well as the next few days as well, with great long-range weather forecasts here as well on this channel, so definitely subscribe down below. So as you look out west here in the United States, we have a bunch of different colors here, oranges, pinks, and purples. These all illustrate dry soils and also extreme heat across this area. We got in the pink shaded colors, red flag warnings where the dry soils do remain across portions of northern California, Oregon, Washington, and northern portions of Idaho. In the orange shaded colors, those are heat advisories that cover portions of the Pacific Northwest down towards the west and also into portions of southern Nevada, California, and portions there of Utah and getting into Arizona. Excessive heat warnings here in the purple shaded colors, and that's where we could be seeing some record high temperatures as we head through the next few days. Looking here at the U.S. Drought Mitigation Center's drought monitor here that was released yesterday afternoon, you do see a big improvement to the drought across much of East Texas, much of Louisiana, and also the Mid-South for the heavy rainfall that did occur there over the last several days. So that is some good news. But looking back across the west here into California, Nevada, Utah, and portions of Oregon, we still maintain a severe, extreme, and even exceptional drought, especially in central California over the last several days. And this is kind of the catalyst for, the drier soils do heat up faster. So we're going to see a lot of faster heating during the day, which will ultimately lead to higher temperatures soaring well into the 100s as we head into this afternoon. And also the culprit for this is a ridge of high pressure centered across the desert southwest and the Rockies that continues to remain intact across this region as we head through the day today. And looking at the high temperatures today as well, look at the highs here in California, Nevada, getting all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, widespread 90s, if not well into the 100s across these areas. Southern California, many places will be hitting 110, if not 115 degrees, potentially some record high temperatures across some of these areas as we head into later on here today. We also do have, in tandem with the heat out west, we actually do have some drier soils as well, especially across northeastern California, northwestern Nevada, and southern Oregon State. There's actually a critical fire weather risk across these areas, so definitely no burning in this area. We definitely could be talking about here some fast wildfire concerns if we can see any, sparks start to fly from any of these, grilling outside, campfires, anything like that will definitely spread very rapidly in this environment with the drier soils, the windier conditions, and also, like I said, the lack of rainfall definitely kind of leads to a critical fire weather risk across this area. And also looking at this here, the reason for this is the relative humidity is going to be very low across this region. You can see here the brown shaded colors across the Pacific Northwest into California, Nevada, and Utah here. A lot of these areas are going to be very dry here with the relative humidity values around, the 10 to 20% range, so very low. So again, any fires that do break out, whether it's grilling outside, whether it's those campfires, anything like that, they will spread rapidly in this environment. So definitely something to kind of limit if you guys are doing any burning outside. I definitely encourage you guys to kind of hold off on that across the Pacific Northwest and really much of the West Coast as we head through the day today. But even as we head into the weekend here on your Saturday and Sunday, we'll have a lot of that ridge continue to remain intact across the Rockies and the western United States. That will remain the case as we head into Sunday here and potentially even further into early next week. So again, this heat is not going anywhere anytime soon. Looking at your high temperatures for your Saturday, September 3rd out there, widespread 100s here, not only in California and southern Nevada and western portions of Arizona, but some 100-degree high temperatures are expected up there into portions of Utah and even getting up into Montana as well, with some temperatures there in northern Montana approaching 105 on your Saturday afternoon. That will continue here more or less as we get into our Sunday, September 4th time frame. You can see, however, all the way off into the east here towards portions of the Great Lakes, the middle Mississippi Valley, all the way over toward New England. Some cooler temperatures can be expected here, averaging around the middle to upper 70s, some lower and middle 80s out there as well, but with lower humidity across these areas as we head through the weekend. So some pleasant conditions on the eastern side of the country, a lot of heat building across the western side of the country as we head through this weekend. But even as we head into tomorrow here for your Saturday, we still got those elevated fire weather risk concerns here with some isolated dry thunderstorm potential there into Washington State. But across much of the Pacific Northwest and really eastern Montana and the western Dakotas, elevated fire weather risk is possible with some of these fires spreading potentially quickly if they break out here across these areas. So definitely want to limit the fire weather concerns, by grilling, camping, all that stuff outside, campfires, all that stuff. Definitely want to limit that even as we head into your Saturday. And again, the reason why is because those relative humidity values across these areas into portions of Montana, the Dakotas, all the way down into the southwestern United States will remain kind of in that 20 to 30% range, if not lower. So definitely something to limit as we head here into today and even into your Sunday potentially as well. But looking here a little bit longer range toward that first, full week of September, going into the second week in September, September 7th through the 11th time frame, all of this heat out west will start to shift a little farther to the east here across portions of the upper Midwest and New England as we head toward the second week in September. So above normal temperatures are favored across about 80% of the country across most of the northern and central U.S. as we head into the second week in September. The areas here kind of excluded out of that is across Texas into the Gulf Coast states where we'll have an active jet stream bringing some widespread rainfall and thunderstorm activity. That will keep areas down there below normal, but definitely still seeing some warm temperatures across portions of the Texas Panhandle as we head into that second week in September. And like I was just alluding to, we have a widespread rainfall and heavy rainfall, heavy thunderstorms across this environment. We have, an active jet stream across the southern United States. That will remain as we head into the second week in September. So above normal precipitation is favored here from Texas all the way up across portions of the Mid-South and the Tennessee Valley and even back here toward Arizona as well, where they desperately still need some rainfall. So that is some good news. But again, some very heavy rainfall is possible across some of these areas. And you can see across the Pacific Northwest, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and New England will kind of stay near normal to slightly below normal in the precipitation category here as we move into that second week in September. But looking here at today, we got that stationary boundary still very stubborn across the Gulf Coast and the southeast United States, bringing more scattered showers and storms from Texas, the Mid-South, all the way over toward Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and to portions of the Carolinas. As we head into later today, we do have a cold front dropping down across the upper Midwest, could provide for a couple of isolated showers or a thunderstorm or two across portions of the northwoods of Wisconsin, getting up towards Minnesota and western Iowa. But again, the moisture content in this environment is very limited, so we're not going to be talking about any widespread heavy rainfall or severe weather or anything. Just going to be those more of, those hit and miss type of showers and storms. So that will be something to watch today. But as we head into tomorrow and even into your Sunday time frame, that stubborn stationary boundary will remain intact across the deep south, bringing more scattered showers and storms there, maybe some isolated showers and storms across the Ohio Valley and the western New England region as we head into this weekend. And again, we're starting to see more of these cold fronts dropping from the north, bringing more precipitation chances across the Tennessee Valley, the southeast, and the immediate Gulf Coast as we head into even early next week. And that could even potentially linger on potentially even farther toward the middle and late portion of next week as well. Looking here at a little bit towards the middle of next week as well, another feature we're watching here across the Pacific Northwest is the models are starting to get a little bit more agreement on another trough starting to develop, a pretty significant trough at that across portions of the Pacific Northwest as we head into next Wednesday, September 7th. And as we get into Thursday, September 8th, the European forecast model has been consistent the last couple of runs, is showing a negative tilt trough starting to develop across the northwestern Rockies and starting to kind of pivot its way to the east toward the upper Mississippi Valley and portions of the northern plains as we head toward late next week and even into next weekend. And this could provide the potential for some heavy rainfall, maybe even some more scattered severe weather across portions there of the Dakotas, the northern plains, and the upper Midwest as we head toward late next week and into next weekend. And the reason for that is because we're going to have a lot of heat kind of preceding this feature as we head into the middle and late portion of next week. You can see much above normal temperatures across this region here, 10, 15, even 20 degrees above normal as we head into these areas. And then we have a cold front moving through with that trough. We definitely could be seeing some potential severe weather and heavy rainfall as that traverses the northern U.S. as we head into late next week. That will be something to watch. We have some cooler anomalies showing up potentially across southwestern Canada and briefly across the northern plains as we head here into late next week. But again, it will be replaced again by another ridge that will work its way from the eastern Pacific Ocean into the west coast as we head into next weekend. So again, that heat will start to build back as we head into that time frame. Looking here at your full tropical weather update, we got Tropical Storm Danielle spinning across portions of the northern Atlantic Ocean right now. That was named here yesterday, and this looks to become a hurricane across the northern Atlantic here rather in short order across these areas. We're also watching here some of these features with Danielle. We've got some of these what I call arms kind of extending off of Danielle. This means it has a pretty healthy environment in which to grow. We have some warmer anomalies here on the sea surface temperatures. We have some, a lot of lack of wind shear across this environment. So you can see Danielle starting to form a little bit of an eye here, and that does indicate the potential for it to become a Category 1, if not a Category 2 hurricane as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours, if not sooner. And the National Hurricane Center agrees with the hurricane becoming quite likely sometime during the day today and remaining a hurricane all the way through the middle of next week and really not moving too much as well. Going to be moving more to the south and west and then kind of turning more northeast as we head toward early and middle portion of next week. But again, the forward speed on this system is not going to be very fast, and it's going to be over the open waters of the North Atlantic and moving away from the United States. So again, this is more of a nuisance across this area. More of interest across the tropics here is the system down here developing across the just to the east of the Windward Islands, moving to the north and west here the next several days. This actually has an 80% chance of development over the next over the next 5 to 7 days or so as it pushes just to the north of the Greater Antilles and the Windward Islands towards the United States. So we'll continue to watch that. And the system behind that coming off Africa, moving into the southern and central Atlantic basin, that has a lower probability, a 10% chance of development over the next 5 to 7 days as well. So that will be something to watch. You can see these two systems on the satellite imagery. We got the system here. This next system right here that I'm circling just to the east of the Windward Islands, moving to the northwest toward the Bahamas, toward Bermuda with time. This could become tropical storm, if not Hurricane Earl across this area. That is the next named system will be Earl. And then this system behind it as well, we'll have to watch becoming a tropical depression over the next few days. Although this system has a lower probability of development because there's a little more wind shear to work with, kind of fighting off some drier air as well across this environment. But looking here across the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and even the Gulf, guys, we have widespread sea surface temperatures well into the 25 to 30 degrees Celsius range. That is some very warm and tropical-like sea surface temperatures. So any of these systems that can develop will develop pretty strong because we have a lot of sea surface temperatures warming up. Just in the last few days, much of the eastern Gulf, the western Caribbean, and even the western Atlantic has really been starting to warm up pretty strongly across this environment. So definitely something to watch, especially if we have less wind shear. That could be kind of a ripe atmosphere for this to develop a hurricane or maybe even a major hurricane. So we'll continue to watch that. But looking here at this afternoon, we got that system just to the east of the Windward Islands. We got that system here, Danielle, across the northern Atlantic, and then another system trying to develop across the southern and southeastern Atlantic as well. These all will move westward with time, and then we'll see here Danielle strengthen to a hurricane as we head through the weekend and continue hurricane status. We're going to watch this other system to the north of the Greater Antilles start to become a tropical depression, if not a tropical storm, as we head toward late this weekend. And that will continue as we head into early next week. A pretty formidable hurricane potentially across the northern Atlantic with a 961 millibar low on the ICON model showing up with Danielle. We got potentially a tropical storm developing just to the north of the Greater Antilles, moving ever so slightly closer to the Bahamas. So we'll continue to watch that as we get into that Tuesday time frame. And looking here at the European forecast model, still kind of showing maybe a weaker system right now with that system across the northern portions of the Greater Antilles, getting toward the Bahamas there. But the GFS is going all out on a hurricane across this environment. I do consider the GFS a little bit of an outlier. It's been kind of a little too strong with some of these systems, but I do think right in the middle, I think a tropical depression and a tropical storm are pretty likely with the system over the next several days. Looking here at the Eastern Pacific Basin, we got our own troubles over here with the tropics. We got tropical storm Javier across portions here of the Eastern Pacific Basin right now. You can see that on the visible satellite imagery. This is starting to push here to the north and west as we head here through the next few days. You can see some convection and thunderstorm activity starting to kind of rumble its way around the center of the system and start to get a little bit more tightly wound over the next few days. So we'll continue to watch that. That's going to become, continue to remain a tropical storm as we head through this weekend, and then kind of weaken toward tropical depression status into late this weekend into early next week, moving away to the west towards the central Pacific. So we'll continue to watch that kind of move away from the Baja of California. But what lies ahead is an 80% chance of development of a pretty strong system, I think, across the Eastern Pacific Basin as we head through the next 2 to 5 to even 7 days across this area right along the Mexico coast, and kind of has its eyes set on the Baja of California as we get towards the middle of next week. And looking here at the weather models here, the ICON model is showing that first system moving to the north and west and then kind of moving westward out of the picture. But we're watching the system here just south of the Mexico coast crossing the Central Americas today, and this will become a next potentially strong system as we head here, not at first, but as we head into next week. You can see as we head into tomorrow, September 3rd, the starting to develop into a tropical depression, I think, across portions there of the Eastern Pacific Basin, just south of Mexico there. And then right along the coast or just offshore of Mexico to the west, as we head into early next week, the ICON model actually strengthens this to a 987 millibar low pressure center, which would actually be a pretty formidable hurricane, a Category 1, if not a Category 2 hurricane across this area. And this ICON model actually strengthens this to a 956 millibar low pressure center just near the coast of the Baja of California here in west of Mexico. This could be actually strengthening on this model to a Category 4 system, so that will be something to watch as we head toward the middle of next week. But in comparison, the European forecast model still forecasts a hurricane, but not as intense, just a 990 millibar low here, pretty much in the same location, just near the coast there of the Baja of California. GFS in comparison, still a 990 millibar low pressure center, but just a little bit farther to the east, kind of in just right along the coast there of western Mexico. So we'll continue to watch that. And even the CMC or the Canadian model is kind of a little bit more bullish on kind of bringing this here over land into northwestern Mexico. So again, there's track differences with the system, but the intensity with the system is starting to diverge toward a hurricane potentially developing, and maybe even a higher end, major hurricane potentially as we head toward the middle of next week. So if you live up here in the portions of western Mexico along the coastlines here, Cancun, all the way up toward Cabo San Lucas into portions of the Baja of California, we definitely have to watch for the potential for a landfalling system as we head towards the middle of next week, and potentially a system with lots of wind and lots of heavy flooding rain. So we'll definitely continue to watch that. And looking here at the water temperatures, we still got our own water temperatures very warm across the Eastern Pacific Basin here, right along the Baja of California and southward towards the coastline there of Mexico. Same thing here that we see in the Atlantic, the Gulf, and the Caribbean in the Eastern Pacific here. 25 to 30 degrees Celsius water temperatures here at the surface, so very formidable for a system to develop here. Very, very tropical-like air mass here that definitely could signal the potential for a strengthening hurricane as we get towards next week. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope everybody's having a great Friday morning out there, and I hope you all have a great weekend as well. Remember to like the video down below and give it a thumbs up. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. And subscribe, most importantly, to the YouTube channel. It's growing thanks to you guys. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, all the new subscribers out there, helping to grow the channel. Definitely appreciate it here. I will be going a little bit more in depth with here more of these tropical weather forecasts in the future here toward this weekend as we get a little closer toward these systems, and potentially going live. We might go live here if the system develops into a hurricane and kind of makes landfall toward Mexico or the Baja of California as we head into the early and middle portion of next week. So do stay tuned for that. And again, subscribe down below. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers, and thank you guys so much. Hope you guys all have a great weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video.